The alarm tore through the ship before I even opened my eyes. Red light spun across the ceiling of my quarters, and a voice from the deck speaker said the same words 3 times in a row. "Brace for impact! Brace for impact! Brace for impact!" I rolled off the bunk and hit the floor running. My name is Daniel Hunt, and I was 26 years old on the day the Korath fleet found our supply convoy hiding in the dust rings of a dead planet called Varan 9. We were not supposed to be found. That was the whole plan. Hide, wait, refuel, and slip away before anyone noticed 7 human cargo ships parked in the shadow of a broken moon. Someone had noticed. I reached the bridge in under a minute, my boots sliding on the metal floor as the ship rocked from something hitting our shields. Captain Grace Whitfield stood at the center of the bridge, arms folded, watching a wall of screens that showed 3 Korath warships closing in from the dark side of the ring. She did not look afraid. She looked like she was doing math in her head. 3 warships against 7 unarmed cargo haulers. I remember thinking that the numbers did not make sense for us. We did not have weapons built for a fight like this. Our ships carried food, fuel, and machine parts for a colony 3 systems away. We were not soldiers. Most of us were engineers and pilots who had signed up for long, boring supply runs, not a battle at the edge of nowhere. Grace turned to me and said one word: status. I checked my board and told her the truth. Shields at 60% and dropping fast. Engines fine, weapons none. She nodded like she already expected that answer and turned back to the screens. The closest Korath ship fired again. Our whole convoy shook. Somewhere behind me, a woman named Emma Sterling, who ran engineering on our ship, called out that we had lost power to Deck 4. I felt the floor tilt slightly under my feet, just enough to remind me that the ship was hurt and getting worse. Grace did not raise her voice. She asked me to open a channel to the other 6 ships. When the line was live, she spoke calm and clear, the kind of calm that makes people believe things will work out, even when the numbers say otherwise. She said, "We are not going to run, because running means they hit our engines first, and then we are stuck here anyway." She said, "We are going to use the one thing they did not expect, which is that 7 ships moving together can look like one very large and very confusing target." I did not understand at first. Then I watched the plan appear on the tactical screen, and I understood everything. The 7 cargo ships were ordered to move into a tight formation, engines aligned, hulls almost touching, so close that from a distance the Korath scanners would struggle to tell where one ship ended and another began. Inside that formation, our combined engine heat and metal density would confuse their targeting systems just long enough to matter. A pilot named Oliver Bennett, flying 2 ships down from mine, asked over the comm if this was actually going to work, or if we were just going to die closer together instead of farther apart. Grace answered without hesitation. She said it will work, because they think we are cargo. They are not ready for cargo that fights back with confusion, instead of guns. The formation locked into place. 7 ships became one shifting shadow of metal, engines burning together, hulls so close that any mistake would have ended us all at once. I gripped the edge of my console and watched the enemy ships hesitate on the screen, their targeting lines jumping from one point to another, unable to decide where to strike. That hesitation was the gap we needed. Grace gave the next order. Every ship dumped its heaviest cargo containers out through the rear hatches at the exact same moment. Hundreds of metal crates, empty fuel drums, and broken machine parts spilled into space behind us, tumbling and spinning through the dark like a storm of debris. To a human eye, it looked like garbage. To an automated targeting system, built to track solid threats, it looked like an explosion of unknown objects, and every Korath ship broke formation to avoid it. That was the second gap. While their ships scattered to dodge the falling debris, our convoy turned hard toward the dense dust ring surrounding the dead planet. Grace ordered full engine burn straight into the ring itself, a place no sane pilot would fly a fragile cargo ship, because the debris inside could tear a hull apart in seconds. Oliver's voice came through the comm again, tighter this time. He asked if she was serious about flying unarmed ships directly into a field of rock and ice. Grace said the Korath warships were built for open space combat, not for chasing targets through a debris ring. She said our smaller, lighter ships could weave through gaps that their bigger hulls could not follow. She said the ring was not a danger to us anymore. It was our shield. I trusted her, so I pushed my controls forward and followed the formation into the ring. What happened next is something I still see clearly when I close my eyes. Rocks the size of houses passed by my window close enough to touch. Ice fragments bounced off our shields like hard rain. Every second felt like it lasted an hour, and every hour felt like it lasted a second. Emma kept calling out shield numbers, and each time the number dropped a little less than I expected, because the ring was doing exactly what Grace said it would. Behind us, one Korath warship tried to follow into the ring. I watched on the rear screen as its heavy hull collided with a cluster of ice boulders it could not turn fast enough to avoid. The ship spun off course, damaged and drifting, no longer a threat. The second warship pulled back rather than risk the same fate. The third warship, the one closest to our formation, tried something different. It launched a wave of small attack drones designed to chase us through tight spaces where the larger ship could not follow. Dozens of fast-moving drones entered the ring behind us, weaving between rocks with far more skill than the warship itself. This was the moment I thought we might not make it. Drones do not care about debris the way a big ship does. They are small, fast, and built to hunt. Grace, still calm, gave one more order. She told every ship to cut engines to minimum power and drift silently along the natural path of the ring's rotation, using no active thrust at all. She said, moving without power would make us blend into the tumbling rocks around us, invisible to drones, built to track engine signatures. It felt like the hardest thing I had ever done, letting go of the controls and trusting silence instead of speed. My ship drifted with the rest of the convoy, rocks and ice tumbling all around us in the same slow rhythm, and for the first time since the alarm went off, the bridge went quiet. I watched the drones on my screen pass within meters of us, hunting for engine signatures that no longer existed, confused by a formation of ships that had simply stopped fighting the pull of the ring and become part of it. One by one, the drones lost their lock and scattered further into the debris field, chasing false signals bouncing off loose metal and ice. We drifted like that for almost 11 minutes. 11 minutes of silence, cold air, and the sound of my own heartbeat louder than anything else on the ship. Emma whispered that shield power was holding steady for the first time since the attack began. Oliver's voice came through once, quiet and unsure, asking if it had worked. Nobody answered right away, because nobody wanted to speak too soon. Then Grace gave the order to bring engines back online, slow and careful, guiding the convoy toward the far edge of the ring, where open space led toward the nearest human patrol route. The remaining Korath warship, still searching the ring for a target it could not find, never saw us leave. By the time we cleared the ring and reached open space, all 7 ships were still with us, damaged but alive, carrying every crew member who had been on board when the alarm first sounded. I remember sitting back in my chair and feeling my hands shake for the first time since the attack began, because there had been no time to feel afraid while it was happening. Fear came later, once we were safe enough to notice it. Grace walked past my station and placed a hand briefly on my shoulder. She said, "Good work," then moved on to check the next report, already thinking about repairs and the long road home. It took us 3 more days to reach the colony we had been supplying in the first place. Word of what happened spread faster than our ships could travel. By the time we docked, people already knew that 7 unarmed cargo ships had escaped 3 armed warships without firing a single weapon, using nothing but formation, debris, silence, and the courage to fly straight into danger instead of away from it. I have thought about that day many times since. The Korath had bigger ships, stronger weapons, and every advantage that should have ended our convoy in minutes. What they did not expect was a crew willing to turn confusion into a weapon danger into cover, and silence into a shield. That is the story people rarely tell when they talk about why other fleets hesitate before facing humans. It is not about who has the strongest ship or the sharpest weapon. It is about people like Grace, who can look at 3 warships bearing down on unarmed cargo haulers and still find a way through, not by matching force with force, but by using patience, timing, and the simple refusal to give up, when giving up would have been the easier choice. I still fly cargo routes to this day, older now, training younger pilots who ask me the same question every time a new recruit hears the story for the first time. They ask if I was afraid. I tell them the truth. I was terrified the entire time, and so was everyone else on that convoy. What mattered was that we kept moving anyway, together, until the danger had nowhere left to reach us.